Welcome to Great Talk and Entertainment. I am your host, KJ, and this is the podcast where I review movies and TV shows from all your favorite superheroes, including Marvel Comics, DC Comics, and much more. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talk and Entertainment official channel. Now let's go, baby! Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. My name is KJ once again, and this is my spoiler review for the new Disney Plus series by Marvel Studios, Agatha All Along, Episode 3 spoiler review. So, if you have not seen this show yet, pause this. But before you pause it, after you pause this, and go watch the show, give me a thumbs up. That would definitely help this YouTube channel grow so I can get more viewers. So, I appreciate the small things you do by just liking it. So thank you, and please do that for me. But then come back and listen to all my spoiler reviews to this particular show and other stuff that I have reviewed in the past. So thank you so much. And once again, this is a spoiler review. Y'all been warned. Let's get into it. Episode 3 continues on where these characters last left us from the episode 2, on the Witch's Road. And many conversations were going on, just, freaking out. They don't know where they're at. They're not understanding. They're still trying to figure out what Agatha is trying to achieve here. What's her main plan? And obviously, Agatha is not giving them the answers they're looking for. She's just giving them answers that fit the question, or, being very secret about her meanings too as well. But as we see this, you have to stay on this road. Like, if you go off, you're going to be like Mrs. Davis or Sharon, I think Shannon or Sharon, I forget her name, but Mrs. Davison, but she doesn't like to be called Mrs. Hart. But she kind of goes off the road, and she sees her purse kind of like get sucked into the ground, kind of like a quicksand or a swamp type deal, right? And so they figure that out, and then Agatha explains to them, like, hey, this was going to happen. You're going to have to face, like, many challenges, and the first challenges is the thing that you fear or you're scared of, which that just means that they're going to have to deal with something personal that has happened in their past, and they have to confront it to pass the first test, basically, right? And we see this, and then they ask about the teenager, the male character, and we learn that the name of this magic is called, and I hope I say it right too, Sigil magic, where basically you can't know his name or his past. And so now they're very suspicious did Agatha do this? And why does she want to figure out to break the spell, basically? And then as they're getting ready to walk, they see this giant mansion of a house. Now, this is a huge house. And it just came out of nowhere, because if you remember just watching this episode, it just looked like a long road stuck in the woods. But see, this Witch's Road is all magic. It's all mysterious, and it's actually alive. Like, think of the Swamp Thing. Think of Poison Ivy. Think of, a Lord of the Rings. Think of, here's a Marvel one for you. In the movie Shang-Chi, there's a woods, or I think it was woods or like a bamboo forest. I can't exactly remember, but the trees and the plants were alive, and they dictate how you're going to make it out here, dead or alive, basically. And you got to pick the right way to go. And then every time you go forward, the back end closes. So, they're in danger. And this is how the Witch's Road is somewhat like that. So if you go watch that scene, or just watch that whole movie and then go watch this episode, and you'll see what I'm talking about even more. But that's what I thought was very interesting. This is the second type of like a forest or a woods. And again, it might be a bamboo tree forest that was in Shang-Chi. I can't exactly remember, but these are two mythical woodsy, foresty like creatures. And what's funny is they're not technically they're not in the world, they're in a different dimension within this universe of the Earth 616. So I thought that was pretty neat. So now we got two so far that's been introduced to us in live action, whether it's on shows or in movies. So I wonder what the next one would be like in the future Marvel films. But also in this episode, we see them finally walk up to this house, and they knock on the door, and then they just walk in basically. And as they go in, we get this whole episode now where it feels like an escape room type format story, and they have all these challenges. So like, I've been in an escape room, and it is I'm not good at it, so it's very frustrating. So we see like this bottle of wine with some glass, and we learn that it's poison. And what's very interesting, Agatha throughout this whole episode, I feel like she knew what's going on. Like, this may not be her first time going on the witch's road, so she was very sure of it. She seemed very suspicious drinking the wine. She seemed very cautious on walking around certain place. And, like through this episode, she hit like the window and kind of cracked the glass. And I was thinking, like, I feel like she knew what was going to happen. So it just indicates that this may be not her first time doing this particular challenge. And so, but finally, people realize that, we can't keep going until Agatha drinks this wine. But she seems scared, but she knew, because I feel like she knew what was going to happen. But she took it anyway, and she went through it where, just like many of the other witches, their face swells up, gets poofy, and then comes down, and they go through a hallucination, and definitely it kicks in. But what's very interesting about this, as they're getting ready to open this wine, we get a small conversation between teenager and Jennifer. Have a conversation, and Jennifer's kind of like, hey, you need to watch your back with Agatha, and explains that it's rumored that she sacrificed her son, like traded in for the book of dark magic, right, to Mephisto. Now, this is the first time they actually said the name Mephisto, and Mephisto is the Marvel's version of the devil. And he lives in hell, but hell in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is not like hell in our life, like not in a biblical way. This is more of a different dimension. It's more related to what you would see in Doctor Strange, the first one, where you saw, I think his name is Mabu. Mephisto lives in a dimension kind of like that, but he's always watching, and he's always the one that he's the guy that harnesses all the dark magic. Like, he is the main dark magic to that. And that's why, like, in Doctor Strange, the first two films, dark magic is just straight bad. And Wanda Vision, in this show, definitely dark magic is bad. So there's a lot of dark magics going on, and it's very interesting because, in a way, I was kind of figure out how to connect all that to previous stuff. So in Loki season 2, they kind of explain more like how the multiverse is kind of working and how parallel can be a thing. And this was what I get out of it. I feel like Mephisto and dark magic particularly, it's not really a multiverse story. It's not really multiverse-like. But it has the same like parallel consequences like if you would make in the multiverse rules. If you broke a rule in the way they portray the multiverse or time traveling, where there's in the past to the future, and then the TVA has to come get you and then vaporize you, like they did in Deadpool and Wolverine, as well in Loki season 1 and 2. So basically, I feel like this is what I feel like. I feel like dark magic and the multiverse, they're not the same, but they have same parallels. So like Wanda can technically, I'll just use her as an example. Wanda has harnessed the dark magic. She can learn how to find different variants of her, and we learned that in Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness, which I feel like these witches know about that, but they don't mess with it. But Agatha has before, and I think this is going to be the big thing, and it's probably be in the next episode most likely. But I feel like, in a sense of where this is kind of going, just based off of 3 episodes, I feel like Agatha has gone to different multiverse and possessed variants versions of her. And I believe that's how the hexagon that's around Westview was portrayed. I believe that in different universes of variants of Agatha, because if you remember in WandaVision and I believe episode 1 or episode 2, Agatha finally breaks out that spell that Wanda puts on her thanks to the teenager. She was ripping off layers of past outfits and hairstyles that you saw in WandaVision. So I believe there's a multiverse of variants of Agatha that were actually these versions of her that she disguised herself in throughout the WandaVision series on Disney Plus. So that's where I feel like she's got all that inspiration and came up with the idea of whatever she was planning to do. I think this was the thing. I just think Wanda now, to me, is going to take Agatha's idea, and she's going to do it better than Agatha. And I think it upsets Agatha that somebody's going to do her plan better and execute it. So this is what I'm getting out of it. And this is kind of also just me based off her being suspicious. So as we go back to this episode, we see Mrs. Davison kind of pass out. And then she says the name Wanda, and like, when her husband was choking in WandaVision, she was like, please let him go, let him breathe, something like that, right? And then they have to split up. So like a Scooby-Doo, right? Like a Scooby-Doo episode, I should say. And they go in different rooms. We see Alice go in this room because then the hallucination kicks in. And she sees her mother who has passed away from an incident. And it just seems like Alice feels like it's her fault. Like her mother made this decision that caused her to die is Allison's fault. Because maybe Allison, again, she's a blood witch. So like her mom is a witch. So she was born and inherited the same ability of magic. I'm not sure if her dad is like a warlord or a wizard. I don't know the male's name or name title of it for sure, but maybe Alice's father also has powers too. But they never mention him in this episode, but I'm curious if they will throughout this season, because I think that'd be interesting. I bet you he was more the kind-hearted, his head was on his shoulder, and maybe Alice's mother, which would be her father's wife, went crazy or got obsessed with dark magic. Because that's the thing with dark magic, it'll change you, you know. And then we learned that in Doctor Strange 1, like, to do this stuff, you're going to have to sacrifice yourself. You're going to have to lose your humane, basically. And, be pretty much like sell your soul in a sense, but you just become possessed by Mephisto and other things that, like a Mabu. But that's what kind of where it is with this. So it was, I thought that was neat. So because they're all looking for ingredients to help figure out how to get the potion to work to kill the poison before it kills them both, all of them. And then we see Lillian say something like, try to say Agatha while they're looking for stuff to find the ingredients. And it was just kind of a blurb, but then we see her see a familiar face and follows that in a different room. And it's kind of like when she goes into this room, we see like a Green Reaper type. And I believe that it's Lady Death. Which that'd be kind of neat because in a way I could see Rio, it's played by Aubrey Plaza, she can be Lady Death. Just combine the two characters. Because these are characters that are in the Marvel comics, but maybe the Marvel studio and Kevin Feige thought just canonize these two characters and make them into one. But if this is Lady Death, right? This is what Thanos, who in comic books is in love with, and he was willing to snap half the universe just for her love, just to win her love over, basically. So I think in some way, because I feel like there's a multiverse story in this, but with witch magic, dark magic, all magic, that there's a variant of Rio who was in love and was in a relationship with Thanos, basically. So that's something else I can believe when I saw that. And then we see Jennifer, and she sees a man who says something like, I'm just going to paraphrase it, you're more of an inconvenient. And he puts her head into the sink that's filled up with water. But it was just an illusion, right? And then Agatha, later on in this episode, when her hallucination kicks in, it's like a baby cradle or stroller, old school type. And it has a dark magic book, or the dark holds. And that's the one that, we saw in Doctor Strange 1, and we saw in WandaVision and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. So they got that, but they did get the poison out of them. And after they get in, they go in this oven and they slide out. And they're back in their regular outfits that they wore in episode 1 and 2. But then Mrs. Davidson seems dead. Seems like the body's dead. But you know what's interesting? And that's how that episode ends, by the way. But you know how what's interesting about that is, who is she? Who is Sharon? Who is Miss Blackheart / Miss Davis? Who is she really? I feel like she's an OP, like overpowerful witch. Like, I bet she was the strongest, most powerful one of all the witches. And I feel like her memories scrambled or lost. Because if she ever, I feel like if she ever got her memory back of who she truly was, I think they'd be all in danger. And I think Agatha knows that. I think because Agatha does have a soft spot for her, but I think she fears her because the name Miss Blackheart is very interesting. So I feel like her memory's been wiped, but I feel like if she remembered, I think they would all be in trouble. Like, I feel like this could be Mephisto's wife. Or, yeah, I would say wife. I was going to say daughter, but I changed my mind. But it could be his daughter, but because these witches have lived for a long, long time. But if I wanted to stick to one and die on that hill, I bet you Miss Davis is Mephisto's wife. I would die on that hill for that. But that's what I think when it comes to that. Do I think she's dead? The rule is in TV, if you don't see the body, the character's not dead. But if you see the body, the character's dead. But there's that loophole with that for saying. So I'm gonna say she's not dead. I just think she passed out because they did make her drink the antidote in the nick of time. So I think she'll wake up and I think she'll be fine. Yeah, so I don't think she's dead. Because again, I think she's the most powerful witch out of all four of them. And we don't know if the teenager has powers yet, which I'm going to assume he does. And once they finally get that spell off of him, it's going to be interesting. Do I think that's Agatha's son? Yes and no. Because I feel like that's Wanda's kid. But how did he stay and where's the other brother? And then Multiverse of Madness, they didn't show him. They showed a different variant of those two children of hers. So I would say, yes, that's her son, Agatha's. But I also think that Mephisto is watching through him like a camera. And I think in some way she's going to lose him. I think that teenager's going to be put back wherever Mephisto's at in his realm, in his world. It'd probably be like the underground world, wherever hell's at in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's where he's going to automatically just go back to. Because she traded her son for that book. And what's funny, Wanda's got the book. So it's kind of messed up. So I think Agatha feels like the deal's off since she don't have the book. But Mephisto's like, no, that don't count. But this also indicates that she could be a hero in this, but does Agatha become the villain? I still believe yes. I still believe that in many ways. So I definitely want to hope to see Agatha become more of the villain for future Marvel stuff. Now let's talk about Lady Death. Lady Death, like I said earlier, in comic books, Thanos was in love with her. Like that's why he got all those Infinity Stones, just to be with her, because she goes around and collects souls from the dead. And he was trying to impress her, but in comic books, you're going to laugh, but she falls in love with Deadpool, and that makes Thanos extra mad, super mad. And so it's funny that we got Deadpool in the MCU in some sense of it, but it's kind of like Thanos is gone, and now he's more easy to kill if you watch Marvel's What If, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Like, ever since after Endgame, Marvel has portrayed Thanos as an easy kill. So, do I think we'll ever see that ever happen, those two seeing each other? Probably not. Unless they do another multiverse story, which is kind of like stretching it. This is going too far with it in a sense, but that's the only way we can get that, which I think comic book fans would love to see that, but if people are not familiar with that, I guess it's really no big deal to tell that story in a live action movie or series, whatever. So I'd say no, but it's nice to see Lady Death. But you kind of also see Lady Death in Thor: Love and Thunder. So I'm just speculating that that's Rio, and Rio is Lady Death. They just emerged two of the characters in Marvel Comics and merged them together for the live action stuff, basically. That's what I'm thinking. So, yeah, this character, Rio, could meet Deadpool, of course. Now, anything can happen at this point. But it wouldn't be meaningful to the comic book fans. So, I think they'll just skip that all the way for that reason. But it's really nice to finally see Lady Death in the live action of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I'm happy just for that. And again, I've learned that these are characters that Marvel Studios no problem killing off so quick, but this is a character I wish they would keep alive a lot longer. Like, I would like to see Rio interact against Doctor Strange, Wanda, Vision, maybe She-Hulk. That'd be cool. Moon Knight. I mean, they got everything. They got a lot. So that's what I'm hoping. But that's how far I want to go. But I'm really excited that she showed up in some way. And I'm really excited if they got big plans for Mephisto. Like, this is the character that'd be really cool to really see in the live action. And there's maybe great actors who can play this character. You know what I'm going to put out, but nobody would like it. Martin Short would be really good at playing Mephisto. If you've seen that show on Hulu or / I believe FX, Only Murders in the Building, you'd totally get it. Like, he would be a great Mephisto, and that's just me. That's what I would go with that. I just loved it. He'd be really good at that. But I don't have any theories. The only theory I have, just one. I just have one. And my theory is that I think we're going to see White Vision. Something tells me, based off of episode 3, White Vision's going to appear at some point. And I think he's going to be the one that's going to make the save, because magic wouldn't affect him because he's not human and he has no soul. And he really doesn't have actually human emotion feelings. And he's always been like that. So I believe he's going to be the one that could save everything, in my opinion. That's my only theory for that. But other than that, if I had to give this episode a 1 out of 10, I'm definitely giving this a 10. This was a really fun episode. Again, I liked how they did the escape room format for this episode. I mean, it's kind of like up to date. It's like the new version of Who Killed Who. And escape rooms are really popular today. And so it's easy for people to relate to that, for people who have gone to escape rooms. And so that helps the audience understand and connect to this particular type of episode and show. And I really love the Halloween theme to it. It's just fun. And it's just fun. I mean, what a great cast. These are actresses and actors who just act. They perform. And everybody on this show brought their A game. And it's just fun to watch. And I know I always say it's a fun thing to watch, but it really is fun to watch. And I really like the background, and I like the tone of it. It just had that spooky feeling, and I love the colors around it. It's like dark purple colors. And I loved how this house changed their whole outfits to a particular era of style clothing. And I also like it just because it did have a little bit of WandaVision in it, because it's like it reminds you of a show that you probably once watched on a as a kid or an adult. You know, an old sitcom show. Just the comedy in it and the dialogue was funny at some points, and we're really seeing these other characters too really shine too. Like, you can have a legit favorite besides Agatha, of course, but this one really focuses on everybody, and I really like that. And I just like how it played out, and I like the mystery of where this is going, and you don't know where it's going. Like, sometimes it's good just to go off the rails, and this is a perfect example of a good thing to go off the rails, especially in a Marvel Cinematic Universe that's all connected. This is gonna be fun, and it wouldn't affect any other, like the street level characters or the Avengers type levels. This fits right in, like, you know, and they're not adding other stories like to it. The only thing, again, they add like the WandaVision because that makes sense. They got a little bit of Doctor Strange references, but that's okay because that makes sense too. But I don't think they're going to try to tie in the She-Hulk series story into this, which I'm liking that. But that's okay because they're not there yet. This is kind of like your introduction to the idea of witches existing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like the Marvel special Werewolf by Night introduced us, there's ghouls and monsters and wolves that exist, and vampires, of course. So that's it's just telling you that there's these other things that exist. So they're gonna have to have a, like the Midnight Sun movies or show. I would do a movie if they did Midnight Sun, but this could help build up to the Midnight Sun group, which is just the another Avengers group, but they take on demons and monsters and witches and vampires and Frankenstein's if he's out there. I don't know, but this is what you can build it up to. So this is a perfect thing that they're going, and I'm loving it. So that's my review, y'all. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talk and Entertainment official channel. Subscribe, hit that notification button so you can always be updated with all my latest content. Thank you guys, and peace out.